All right, high rollers, happy new year. 2017 is upon us. We predict big things this year at High Roller Radio. Many great poker and gambling interviews. That's a guarantee. And we're starting the new year off right as we introduce a new member of Team High Roller Radio. Calls himself Nuts at Nutbar on Twitter. That's Nuttbar. He's a gamer, poker junkie, and moderator for a couple of the biggest Twitch streams in the world. He's written his first piece for us at highrollerradio.net. It's called Crash and Burn, and we're calling the segment The Nut House. Al McDonald is with us. Al, welcome to High Roller Radio, man. Thanks for being a part of the team.
Thanks for having me, and hello all you high rollers out there.
Just in our first few interactions on social media, Al, I can tell that we've got a lot in common, that you're just like me, a true poker junkie. I can tell you just love the game, right?
Yeah, I think it's that ADD factor that we just can't shake. It's just there. It keeps the mind going, you know?
Do you play a lot of poker? What's your background with the game?
Started seeing the coverage on TV when it got big years ago, and thought, geez, I can do that, you know? So I tried it, and right away, within a month of playing, I won a free roll on 888.
Nice.
I was hooked. That was it. I was hooked.
That's all it takes sometimes, that first big hand or that first tournament victory, and you just love it forever.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been back and forth and bounced in and out, and I took a break for a while and was focusing on other projects, and come back to it a couple of years ago only to find that, boys, it had changed.
You know, poker really has changed. You talked about coming in when all the TV coverage was happening. That's the moneymaker effect, 2003. And it wasn't poker so great around 2004, 2005, 2006 with Jamie Gold, 2007. And now it's a different era. You've got Twitch now, and things are really getting technical when you look at how Twitch operates. There's a new fan base there. What's your take on poker now compared to then?
It's ingrained itself even more in the culture. Poker used to be a backroom sort of deal, played at family gatherings and smoky back rooms. The media coverage, some years ago brought it out of that, and it never really went back. Even though once it became illegal in the States, it never went away. Just people aren't letting it go. So it's here. It's going to stay big, and it's going to continue to get bigger.
Now, you said you came back to the game, and boy, has it changed. Were you talking about the caliber of play? I mean, everyone's so good these days.
Well, when I started playing poker, there was no such thing as a HUD. Any study you were doing involved the books that were on your shelf. But nowadays, these players are using 2 and 3 different types of software to track their results, your results. They're doing pot odds on the fly. It's just the amount of tools available to help even the average player just play so much better than they would without it is just outstanding, incredible, the amount of stuff out there now. It's much more technical than it ever was.
You're heavily involved with Twitch, modding for a couple of the biggest channels in the world right now. And when you look at Twitch, when I watch Twitch, I'm fascinated by what they're doing with these HUDs, these heads-up displays. Makes their decisions quicker for them, right? Because they can look at the HUD, see their percentages, realize the type of player they're playing against, and then just move on to the next table. Because some of these guys, they're playing 8, 10 tables at a time, right? I mean, if you're not using the online tools that are out there for you, then you're really being left behind because your opponents are.
Oh, absolutely, and it's not to say that you can't win without those tools. Yeah, but you got to be really damn good. It's too much to compete against without them. If you're going to go out there and play, you might as well make the field as even as possible and use the same tools that everybody else is.
Yeah, it's really advanced nowadays. There's so much out there, training systems, training videos, training tools. When I play poker, I can only focus on one table. When I play online poker, I have trouble in Hold'em. I don't play Hold'em anymore online. It's too tough. I can't even beat a 10-cent, 25-cent game. I mean, these guys playing 10-cent, 25-cent nowadays, they're playing 10 tables and making a decent profit.
Yeah, they're basing all their decisions on just the very little bit of information that the HUD provides on a quick glance, your tendencies, their tendencies, and those decisions are snapped now, as opposed to having to sit and go through 3 or 4 different computational series of stuff. Why did he do this? The table feel. All that stuff is, for the most part, gone. And especially if you're playing 10 tables, you cannot know the feel, the intimate feel of a single table when you're 10 tabling.
What about the future? Do you think the HUDs are around forever and that only more tools will be introduced?
I think as long as the sites allow them, we're going to see the HUDs and stuff stay. Now, having said that, there's always adjustments. It's the traffic thing. The guy 3 miles up touches his brakes, and it causes that accordion effect. What's going to happen over time is because more and more players coming in will be starting out with these tools as opposed to using them later in the game, and it'll just even the field for everybody. It'll actually take it back to where it was like 10 years ago again. It'll just level it out a bit, and the best players will again rise to the top, and the weaker players will be where they're at. It'll balance out. Once like I said, it's still too new, and it's still spreading. But once it's a level playing field in that regards for everybody, it'll get back to how it used to look a little bit.
Well, the advent of Twitch has really added something great to poker. It's a great system, a lot of new fans into the game, over from gaming, video games, and that sort of thing. And it's really advanced, and there are some great channels out there. You've got Jamie Staples, of course, you got Jason Somerville. Now, you moderate for a couple of the best channels. One I really enjoy, Doug Polk on Upswing Poker, and of course, Gripst. I mean, these guys have advanced channels not only in their play and their caliber, but also in their branding, right? I mean, these are two good channels.
Oh, absolutely. Upswing in particular is so worth noting. They come in just a little over a year ago. They had a plan when they come in. They stuck with that plan, and it's worked. They basically laid the blueprint for any poker streamers coming in behind them. That's the blueprint you should follow. And if you're not, you're crazy.
I mean, I think part of the plan was actually to win that tag team bracelet too, Ryan Fee and Doug Polk. Wow, did that help them?
It didn't hurt. But even without that, if you watch their streams and see the kind of stuff that they're making available, Grip said as well, these people are making available training materials and learning materials like you wouldn't believe, and the highest level stuff. To get involved with these groups and pay attention to what they're doing and get your hands on their study material, there's no better way to improve your skill in the game.
It's a great training tool indeed. Now, we mentioned Jason Somerville, Jay Carver. I'm wondering your thoughts on him. He's the guy that really started it all on Twitch. He's got a huge fan base. I don't think he eats on camera. I don't think he goes to the washroom. All he does is talk to his audience and play poker. How does his channel vary from the ones you moderate?
Not too much, really. At some point, it comes down to the personality of the streamer, and just through the human nature. Some streamers' personalities are going to be more open, more receptive, more welcoming to other people. Some people like his personality, and that's why they'll go there. Quite often, that can be enough for a good streamer to build a large community. It's just they like him.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie Staples, I find, is a very likable guy. And he does a very laid-back stream. I kind of like watching that once in a while, especially when they run deep. It's always fun to watch, isn't it?
Well, and there's no better way to get numbers in your stream than to run deep in a tournament. If you're going late, if you're the last one, if you're the last streamer in the Sunday Million, you're going to find the numbers are there. People are attracted to success. They're attracted to good results. They want to see, I think it's a 50-50 thing. I think they want to see people succeed, but I think there's that little bit of NASCAR fan in every Twitch streamer. They also want to see the guy crash and burn.
Well, hey, speaking of crash and burn, it brings us to the article now. You're going to supply regular articles at highrollerradio.net. Just go to the homepage. You'll see that little icon saying Nut House. Click the link that says more, and you go right to Al McDonald's article. It's called Crash and Burn. It's a great first piece. It's lengthy. It's detailed. And it's all about running deep in a tournament, right? You're playing online. You're going deep. There's thousands of dollars up top. And all of a sudden, the screen freezes. That panic. We've all felt it, right? How did you come up with this idea? Something happened on Twitch of late?
Actually, just a few nights ago, I think it was last Sunday. It might have been the week before, but I can't remember. I think it was last Sunday. I was on moderating a stream, and word came through that one of the other big streamers, Tonka, his system crashed. He's in 2 or 3 tables, high stakes, getting deep, very, very deep, serious money up top, and it all just shut down.
Man.
I could not imagine being in that situation, say in a Sunday Million, say you're down to the last 4 or 5 at the final table. There's almost $200,000 up top, and your system fries. boy, would that be an expensive, expensive failure.
Well, tell me about it. First of all, life tilt, right? Because these guys put in hours and hours and hours of play. It's not easy to run that deep. It's not easy to final table. But when you do, that's where all the profit is. Those moments are important, and you've got visions of taking down a title, right? And then all of a sudden, you can't even do anything. There's no mouse, and it's just that sinking feeling that we've all felt at some point.
Yeah, I think the real message behind that whole story is that if you're gonna be that serious about what you're doing, and you're gonna spend countless hours grinding thousands of hands and reviewing those hands, and you're gonna be making yourself available to all the study material you can to improve yourself, if you're not putting just as much effort into making sure that the technology you're using to facilitate that, if you're not putting that much effort into that to protect it, then you're doing yourself a disservice. It deserves as much thought and effort and energy and investment as the rest. It's all a package. It's all a package, and each part of it needs to be complete in order for you to be a complete player.
Well, I guess it's the same thing as training. If you're not doing it, your opponents are for sure. So if they've got the proper equipment, you got to make sure you do. Now, you've outlined 3 areas of possible online poker catastrophe: hardware failure, power outages, and internet outage. Let's quickly run through each. First, hardware failure. I love the line you have. Going cheap here is like racing Indy with the family sedan.
Absolutely. If you're trying to play, like, for example, a Sunday Million on a $400 laptop you got at Walmart, what's wrong with you? Like, really? Seriously?
This is something that every poker player, if they're taking the game seriously, can do. They can make sure they've got the proper hardware. It might be more expensive, but it's out there.
Well, absolutely. And if you're playing high stakes, and if you're consistently going to be looking at final tables with 5-figure payouts, putting 4 figures into your system to get you there is not a big investment at all. In fact, not doing it could cost you far more.
Okay, so that leads into the second point: power outages. You say in the article that if you take the hardware system and you got the proper hardware, you shouldn't really have to worry about power outages.
Well, yes and no. The power outages won't affect your hardware, but if your power goes out, you're going to lose. Everything shuts off, and it is another part of the process that you have to take into account, especially rural. If you live in a rural community, especially north here in Canada, where snow comes down, trees come down on power lines and stuff like that. If you're not protected from that, you could be dead. Said we had an outage here a week or so ago. We were down for over 24 hours. If you don't have some sort of backup system that's going to seamlessly keep that computer going when that happens, to at the very least let you finish the session and get out, you're going to be stuck when it happens.
I guess the same point can be made for internet outages.
Sort of. Internet outage is going to be a unique beast, and it's going to be a rare occasion. That we're referring there to your provider actually having a catastrophic failure and shutting down. Very rare. But if it happens, it's impossible to come back from if you don't have an alternate way to connect to the internet.
So the bottom line here, Al, is that if you take online gaming seriously, whether you've got a Twitch stream playing Counter-Strike or you play online poker 8 hours a day to an audience of 200, you really have to do your research, right? You have to determine how much is at stake. I mean, there's a lot at stake. If you get frozen out and there's thousands of dollars up top and you just have to sit idly by it and watch, I mean, with that sinking panic feeling, that's terrible. How does a gamer safeguard against these types of issues? What's your main message in the article?
If you're not a tech guy, get the services of a good tech guy, somebody who's knowledgeable and well-rounded in the industry, and don't be afraid to spend the money he suggests you need to. Between the PCs themselves and the backup power systems, depending on your needs, all that together, you easily could be looking $10,000 or more. But what's it going to cost you not to?
Well, I remember, having David Chikotsky on one of our first interviews many years ago, and he's one of the best poker instructors in the world. And at the height of poker, when it was really popular, when they had 9,000 people in the main event, he was getting $400 an hour for poker instruction. But he said, hey, that's worth it if it gets you in a pot and you win a $3,500 pot. The $400 means nothing. Right?
It's a great way to look at it. It's a very, 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 very fair comparison. If you're going to put the money into the study, why wouldn't you put the money into the equipment? It's the same.
The segment is called The Nut House. His name is Al McDonald. The article is called Crash and Burn. Go to www.highrollerradio.net and check it out. On Twitter, He's at Nutbar, Nuttbar, and we call him Nuts. Al McDonald, thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you got any questions, you want to say hi, shoot me a message. Always available.